Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where I'm really quite excited for what is about to happen. Thanks to my friends at Quantfury, this marks the start of the most epic of adventures. Today, we are taking my AMG GT Black Series to drop it off for a flight to Dubai. Yes, this is completely surreal. The Shmeemobile is going to the Middle East. It is the reverse of the origins of Shmee 150 when I used to car spot in central London and film all of the supercars that have been flown into the UK from the likes of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Well, now it's time for me to take one of my cars the other way to drive it in Dubai. This is going to be the most unreal of adventures. It's all thanks to my friends at Quantfury. You can find out more about Quantfury in the video description below, but today we need to get everything ready. And when I say about the preparation, we need to swap over the wheels and tyres. The Cup 2Rs don't exactly last all that long. We need to empty it out of all of the contents. We need to make sure it is low enough on the fuel to be able to board the flight. And then later on this afternoon, we're going to be dropping off this car to board the plane to go to the Middle East. I can't believe this is happening. It has been a dream for a very long time, but now the journey begins. What this means then is that in a matter of days, this car is going to be in the UAE. I will be able to photograph the bright solar beam yellow GT Black Series in the deserts of Dubai. I cannot wait, perhaps take it also to some of the famous driving roads like Jebel Hafit and Jebel Jais, hopefully to the Dubai Autodrome and maybe even to Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. But before we can drop it off in a couple of hours' time, there are a few things we need to do. The first of those is to swap over the wheels and tyres. Now it's just gone through 3,000 miles on the clock. These are the original set, but being Cup 2Rs, they don't have a lot of tread and they certainly don't have a lot of tread left. So what we have got is a brand new set over there at the back of the Shmuseum at the moment, which we will load up into the G63 to take over to Whoops to swap them over. And yes, we could do it here, but given how last minute this is, we want to make sure we get it all right. Then I need to empty everything out, all of the possessions that are currently in the car, and make sure I've got them all packed to take with me. And I will also need to drive it a little bit because at the moment we have, I think, about a third of a tank of fuel. It needs to get a little bit lower than that. In fact, let me just take a seat inside. 3,007 miles. Sounds so good with the Opus upgrades. So what do we have? Yes, about a third of a tank in the middle at the bottom. So we need to drive it a little bit to get that down. So let's go get those wheels and tyres loaded up, get everything ready. We've done all of the paperwork, the carnet de passage, the transportation documents. I can't believe this is happening. This car is about to go to Dubai. Yes, here, thanks to Quantfury. My mind is blown right now. If you're wondering why everything is parked pretty spontaneously at the moment, that is because Tom has been working on cleaning the floor, and you can see the significant difference from the areas that haven't been done to the cleaner areas. So that is making some nice progress. Back here, we have a lot of wheels and tyres. These are the new set for the GT Black Series that I recently had delivered. Completely OEM factory wheel set with brand new Cup 2R rubber with the GT Black Series graphic on the side. So those need to be loaded into the G so that we can take them over to Whoops and get them all fitted up properly. This is the very careful process to make sure that we don't knock one over. Yes, I could probably do more than one at a time, or we could even move the G over towards where the wheels are. But we'll get all of these safely in and then make some progress very shortly to take them over to Whoops. We're all loaded up. We've got the two fronts back there on the rear seats. We've got the two rears, which are gigantic 335 section rear tyres, brand new rubber. You don't have a lot to begin with, which is why those are on for a couple of thousand miles out in the Middle East. And who knows what blanket and why, that's for a different day. Anyway, let's close this. The RS3 is inside, GT Black ready to go. Let's head on out. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to getting this car out somewhere to drive that isn't quite as grey and gloomy and cold and wet and, ooh, Stelvio Quadrifoglio. As we have here, of course, because in Dubai it will be about 30 degrees Celsius. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. Okay. Are we all good here? Well, we are going to a wheel refurbishing place, but we don't need it. We've made it through that width restriction without too much of a panic. Yes, what I was saying, Dubai is obviously going to be lovely weather and more suited to the Cup 2R tyres
than where we are here, because when it's a day like this and you can see the splattering of drizzle on the windscreen, you have to be so careful in a car like this, otherwise it's just going to spin up the rear, and yeah, that's not ideal. I might put some winter tyres on it at some point just for making it more usable for some kind of trip across Europe, but we'll join the M25, a small stretch of motorway. It does sound cool. I love this car. I cannot wait to take this car to another continent, and who knows what the future has. Maybe at some point it goes to the US as well, like the Ford GT did. Maybe at some point it goes to a trip I'd always have loved to have done, was down to Morocco. So I'd go down to the south of Spain and across to Morocco. This car could technically go to 4 continents. How wild would that be? It's looking pretty busy today. We'll let the G out. We will let that out. Yeah, so let's get around and get the wheels changed over, and then have to be even more careful because brand new Cup 2Rs, and that's when it's really slippy until they've got some scrubbing on them. Before we arrive at Whoops, obviously one thing we have to be aware of is getting the fuel down. We are now about a quarter, but there are some easy solutions to this. This car is just silly, but silly in such a good way. Okay, up and down through the gears a bit, stop, start off. I know that's not the best, but we need to get this tank out because when I filled it last, I wasn't expecting it to go so soon. So this is again a bit more last minute planning, but anyway, it's fun to drive. I love this thing. And I love all of that. We are here then, back at Whoops. The guys here are legends, always look after the Shmeemobiles with everything we need, with wheels and refurbishing and changing colours and all that fun stuff. We will squeeze this through here and go straight on in, I think. Well, the GT is up in the air then, here at Whoops. We need to get something like this. That would be very helpful to have at the Shmuseum. Full car lift. Now it'll be time to get these off. And while, as I said, these aren't completely finished, there's so little tread on them to begin with that they're down to probably 2 mil or something. You want to check on the inside tread, yeah, it's something like 2 mil. So those probably wouldn't last the whole time out in the Middle East by the time I've done a track day or two, hence why they're coming off. The new ones are going to go on. The original wheels and tyres have now been loaded back up into the G. We've got the new ones all in place, lightly torqued for the moment, but we've got the brand new set of Cup 2R tyres ready to rock and roll. The torque setting is actually quite interesting. So when the car is lowered back down, each nut needs to be torqued to 180 Newton meters, which is a lot more than normal, to be honest. I think probably the highest I've ever seen, but that's what the book says. Probably to do with the downforce, the grip, the Cup 2R tyres, etc. But not too long now until we have it down, back on the road to take it home, and then go from there to drop it off. Down the GT Black Series goes, ready to be back on the ground to do the tyre pressures and to make sure everything is torqued up properly. Looking so good. I cannot wait to see this colour out at sunset or sunrise in the desert in the Middle East. It's going to look immense. It's going to be so cool. The thing to always remember then when pulling out on a brand new set of tyres is that obviously they need to be scrubbed in slightly before you have proper grip out of them. So you need to watch out normally with Cup 2Rs that are cold. You need to watch out even more when you have a brand new set of Cup 2Rs. We've just adjusted all of the pressures, made sure everything is right. So a big thanks to the team there. But now it's time to get back to the Shmuseum, to drop off the G, to pick up the C63 Black Series, I will explain that very shortly, and the RS3 to head from there round to where we need to drop this off. It's basically all going to be happening this afternoon, and I think fuel-wise we're doing quite well because we've got about 50 miles to go and we're down to a quarter, so we'll be pretty low at the end, which means when I land in Dubai, my first port of call is going to be straight to a petrol station. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. We're back at the Shmuseum, and one thing, by the way, about the GT Black Series that you will notice at the moment is that the fans run in overdrive. When you park this car up, I've never heard another car like it. Now, the M5 and the M8 were similar to an extent, but those run like mad, which is, of course, because cars like this go to regions like the Middle East, where it is significantly hotter than here, so they need to in order obviously to keep it cool, and in particular with the new radiator setup that this car has, is why they run quite so aggressively. Anyway, the plan now is to leave the G-Wagon, still got everything in it at the moment, we'll get that out, take this, take the RS3, because the team car, we need it to get back, but we're also dropping off the C63 Black Series for a service. That's going to have its annual service, so we'll drop this first, then we'll drop the C, and then we'll all come back with the RS3 afterwards. Yes, a bit of a mission, but we're getting there. In terms of
things in the car, by the way. Obviously, fundamentally for travel, you don't leave anything in the car other than the documents that you have to have in it. So I'll have to take out my USB cables and that kind of stuff, and I'll take out the valve control switch from Opus for the exhaust. But then back here, we've got a trickle charger, because you never know, first aid kit, instruction book, windscreen mount. These are all things, high-vis jackets, that I do want to take. I'm not sure what's going to stay in the car and what I'm going to take outside the car in my check-in luggage. That's something still for me to ask the team at Cars when we drop it off. But it does seem a little bit surreal that this is the last time for now that we'll see this car here at the Shmuseum before it heads on this journey. In some ways, like the journey I did with the Ford GT, which was now 2.5 years ago when we loaded this onto a plane to go to New York, to the USA. A very different process going to the US, significantly easier, by the way, sending a car to the US than the Middle East. But this was, yeah, quite the surreal moment for me when I was driving that around the USA. And I know it's parked peculiarly at the moment, all to do with the cleaning of the floor. Things will be back to normal soon, but this is just tucked in. So yes, the GT has been to one continent. And actually, I've just worked out that when the GT Black Series arrives in the Middle East, that will be on one continent. The rest of them are on another continent, and the GT500 is on a third continent. I'll have cars on 3 continents at one time. God, that's a head scratcher and a half. Anyway, fans are still running like mad. We'll get the wheels and tyres out, and then we'll get back on the road with this to go drop it off, the last leg before it's off many thousands of miles away from home. That sounds so silly. Right, we need to head out. This is it then. It is go time, taking this car out of the Shmuseum for the last time before it's somewhere a very long way away, and we're good on mileage. So let's get all the cars out, get everything locked up, and get this drive underway to where we need to take this today. As we make our way around the M25, I have about 35 miles of range, except it's just got onto the fuel pump icon, which means not a whole lot, and we've got 24 miles of the journey still to go. So this is really going to be running on fumes. When it's loaded, it will need obviously to be started a little bit to be loaded onto a pallet to go into the belly of the plane, and then a little bit at the other end as well. So I am hoping when we land in Dubai, I will be able to find a petrol station somewhere very near to the airport. Otherwise, it's going to be a struggle. As we've got the C63 over the shoulder, looking very, very cool to have these 2 Black Series on the road together again. But I should talk a little bit more. I'm not sure if you can hear that with the windows closed and the rattles and things, but it sounded really nice. The plans in Dubai, I touched on it briefly, but this car will be able to go up Jebel Hafit, the famous mountain, or Jebel Jais over towards Ras Al Khaimah. If I put the window down, it's going to get a lot louder when he does that. I'm hoping to be able to do some laps at some point at the Dubai Autodrome at Yas Marina. The RS3 is very quiet in comparison. To be able to go to places where I've driven with many other cars in the past over in the UAE, but never considered that this could actually happen, because the complications to do it are huge. Of course, there's the transport itself, but even behind that, you have to put a bond down for the carnet, which is quite a lot of money. You get it back when the car obviously leaves, which is all to do with tax and transport of goods. And the logistics, the paperwork and the insurance and everything, getting all of that set up is hugely evolving. But, you know, in the past when I've been out in Dubai, I had an AMG GTC 50 one time. I had a McLaren 540C for a bit. I've driven around at Yas Marina in various different cars over the years. AMG GT 4-door rings a bell, particularly stands out. The Audi R8 RWS at the Dubai Autodrome. We had the previous generation RS3 Saloon for a period, an R8 Spider as well. So many different cool cars, but now to be taking mine there, thanks to Quantfury, I can't quite work it all out. It feels so ridiculous to actually be doing this, having dreamt about it for years. I mean, I thought about sending a car over there when I had my original AMG GTR. I thought about sending the Ford GT over there after the US tour, but things had been so busy at that period. I thought then about doing it with another car, but then obviously the world kind of shut down in 2020, so that wasn't possible. With the SLS was the plan. And now doing it with the right-hand drive GT Black Series. Right-hand drive cars in the UAE, well, they can't be registered there, so it's only basically foreign imports or temporary cars like this purpose. And it can run on my UK number plate out in the Middle East, which is madness. I don't know if I'll be able to send it to Bahrain or Saudi Arabia or somewhere else. I'd love to,
but it gets very complicated because of the way the borders work. I can't, as I understand it, drive it myself across the border. I'd have to transport it and fly, and the customs clearance would take a few days each time, and time is going to quickly march on. But the plan at the moment is to be there for a bit, obviously through December, not as far as Christmas, and then, you know, depending how things are going, maybe the adventure continues in January. But it's unreal to think at the moment that this car is going to be out there, and I'm sorry for saying that quite so many times, but if you had asked me back when I was cycling around chasing cars, car spotting in London, if one day I might be sending my own supercar in a plane to the Middle East, to Dubai, that was the wildest end of imagination. That never seemed like it could become something that was going to be real. But here it is. This is what we're doing. This is the last drive here. We're nearly out of fuel, but after today, the next time I see this and the next time you see it, it's going to be heading to the cars collection facility at the Dubai Autodrome in Dubai. And that takes just a little bit of thinking about. It's gonna be so cool. A last little stretch of some country lanes, manual, just because we've got enough fuel just to be able to drop this off. The next time I drive it is going to be on very different roads to this. That's what's quite crazy about all of this right now. Oh, that was a nice little explosion there. This car, imagine what this will be like if I take it to Yas Marina. How cool would that be? And just the colour of it, everything about it. Anyway, we're just a couple of minutes away now from getting this dropped off, and I suppose signing the final bits of paperwork and everything, and then it's going to be at Heathrow and off it goes.
The last bit of driving then on the UK side, ready for the car to be loaded into one of the car's transporters to take it to the airport. Now, given the latest round of rules, the customs clearances, I can't actually drop it off myself, which is why it'll be transported for this final leg before it then makes its voyage a very long way away. And thankfully, despite the weather at this time of the year, we have managed to keep it looking very clean and tidy, now equipped with the new wheels and tyres, ready to head on out of here. So I need to head inside and go and sign some of the last bits of the paperwork to make sure that all is good to go. And as I said, in a couple of days' time to see that again, the other side of the world effectively, but I guess we'll see it going into the truck in a moment. So that's with the valves closed, but it's time to get this loaded onto the transporter and ready to go from here. Seeing this car on the move is always very, very nice, and it's hard to believe that in not very long that yellow is going to be glistening under the Dubai sunshine instead of the cold, as you can see that we have here. Such a cool thing. Love it a lot. So they're going to put it into the transporter, and that's where it's going to go over to the airport. Look at that wing. This doesn't feel real right now. Very, very bizarre. And here we go then, into the trailer. I cannot quite believe it, that we're going to be at Cars' new location in Dubai in a few days, doing the opposite of this, getting back behind the wheel, and that will be that. Well, it's all locked and loaded inside the trailer. Off it goes. This is moderately crazy to think that the car is in here. It's heading very far and wide. It's a nice line of the trucks. But that is its safe transport from here to Heathrow, to the airport, to catch a flight to DXB, Dubai Airport, where I will be as well soon. If you can't quite tell that I'm excited, you probably missed something, because this is gonna be so good. All right, off it goes for now. We're arriving at Mercedes-Benz World, Mercedes-Benz Brooklands. Of course, I'm here in the C63 Black Series, but this is where most of the Shmeemobile AMGs get serviced. So, oh, that little squirrel was being quite brave there. And this is where I filmed numerous videos before. It's a very cool place. Might be fun to come here with the GT Black Series at some point, but the full building up ahead, which is the experience centre, as well as test drives, dealership, etc., and all these different areas, and the big skid pad outside. We even came here with Nico Rosberg on the AMG GTR collection day originally. Anyway, we'll get this up there and go get it dropped off and then take things from there. After dropping off the sea, we are back at the Shmuseum. We've got a few things that have moved around, but very much the land of the Skittles. However, the team car doing exactly its intended purpose, taking the Audi RS3 saloon to go drop off the C63 for the service. That will be back here in probably a day or two, and to drop off the GT Black Series for this epic adventure a long, long way from home. It reminds me so much of 2.5 years ago, sending out the Ford GT to go over to the United States of America, and amazing to think that that car has been to New York, to Miami, to Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, to Detroit. It's been all around the USA, and now it's here, of course, in the UK. And that adventure gives us a small sense of what's to come now with the GT Black Series. And I'm sorry for saying it quite so many times, but I still can't quite get my head around the fact that this is actually happening. Thanks to my friends at Quantfury. They have made it possible for this epic adventure ahead to share some awesome content with you guys. And I could not be more excited about everything that is coming. Believe me, it is going to be insane. For now though, we've got a lot of other stuff we need to get sorted out here at the garage. I need to get my bags packed because I might be going sooner than I originally thought out to Dubai to take delivery over there of my GT Black Series from Cars, thanks to Quantfury. This is going to be epic. I cannot wait to share the rest of the adventure with you. Let's do this. So thank you very much, as always, for all of your support. It is hugely appreciated. This is the start of something crazy, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.